Okay, welcome to our Zoom coffee hour. As you know, Tuesday, October 20th is normally our Lutefisk dinner day. Last year at this time, nearly 1,300 diners were descending upon our little city for this magnificent feast. And so we have with us today many members of our congregation, including several FLCW members, that's First Lutheran Church Women members. And many of them are members of our social committee as well. And then others who chair or who work with various parts of our dinner. So if you have in the past, or if you currently chair a department in our Lutefisk dinner, wave big and broad so we can acknowledge your service. Look at all these people. Congratulations. Thank you. If you have ever served as a volunteer for our dinner, please wave so we can acknowledge you too. And if you have ever eaten a bite of Lutefisk, notice I didn't ask if you enjoyed it. I asked if you ever had a bite of it. Please wave. All right. So at this time, I would like to open it up for some stories and some smiles. That's pretty much our only agenda for today. Then at about 10:50, we are going to conclude with some talk about the mission of our dinner and then have a slideshow and some prayer. So with that, I'm going to mute myself, and I would like anybody who wants to share a story or a memory to go ahead, unmute and share.
I think we're unmuted here. Okay, I'll start. I was talking to Marilyn last night, whose mom down there, by the way, and we were talking about some of the memories that we have, and I think one of the ones at the top of my list is we had a table of 10 men come from Owatonna, and all of a sudden the waitress came up to me and she said, they're on platter number 10. Oh, and I said, platter number 10 of what? And she said, a fish. And so I had to go and talk to these guys and say, I think you've had enough. And they said, well, we're about done anyways. So that's a memory I have of Lutefisk. I also wanted to say, because of this year, I still wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat and thinking, oh my God, oh, wait a minute, we're not ordering this year. So it's still ingrained in me as to this is Lutefisk time. Do you want to share a thought now since we're still green?
Oh, we're still green?
Yeah.
All right. I don't know. My weirdest memory is of me dropping a whole ice cream pail of flour and water thickening on the floor on the Tuesday morning of Lutefisk. The handle broke and it went all over the floor. Bad memory there.
Bad. Okay. Judy, do you have a memory? Judy, you're not unmuted. Okay.
I do.
Oh, there she is.
Oh.
I remember the year the coffee pot broke down and we had to get coffee made at our Prairie Manor and driven over. And I believe the pizza seller helped us out. Is that right, people? So that was scary. And might I say, this was the christening year for our new kitchen, as it is right now, our dishwasher, new dishwasher. So we'll just wait and test it next year for the big job it has to do, and our new floor.
I think one of my fondest memories, I don't know how fond maybe, but when we used to make lefse at church, and we had the lefse guru teaching all of us how to make lefse.
Yep.
And most of you know Signe Palinka was the lefse guru of Blooming Prairie. And she absolutely let you know if you weren't doing it right. There was a treatment table for the pieces that weren't perfect. And I think a lot of us learned a lot of lefse lessons from Signe. And she was greatly missed. And I know she really balked when we were going to start ordering lefse from Rushford or wherever we got it first. But we did it anyway because a lot of the great lefse rollers of our church couldn't do it anymore. And I remember the day of the dinner, and Siggy had said, it's not going to be good lefse. Well, we had some homemade and we had some bought, because at first we made some and bought some. So we had her do the taste test. And she picked the one that was not our homemade to say that that was. So it all turned out okay.
It is good.
I remember that, and I remember her nose wrinkled a lot when you informed her that she picked the wrong left.
Yep. But it was fun making our own lefse, but it was a lot of work. It took us 3-4 days, and it got to be too much.
And you did a great job heading those up, Jennifer. Thank you.
Well,
Yep.
you're welcome.
It
We
was
all work hard at our groups and try our best.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm in charge of the cleanup part of things. So last year when our dishwasher wasn't working right, it was kind of extra headaches and scrubbing all of the plates by hand before they went into the dishwasher. So when you think of how many people we served, especially at lunch, we did all of those by hand. Luckily in the evening, Paul took over for me for scrubbing the plates, but that got to be kind of a headache. But the thing that always amazes me is how little garbage there is at the end of the day. It's so minimal, you cannot believe it, because people clean up their plates. It's just crazy. I mean, we serve what, 1,500 around, 1,500, and it wouldn't even fill a half of a 5-gallon bucket for the entire day.
I just want to chime in and say I'm excited to use the new dishwasher next year.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite memories was one of the first times I was on the dishwasher duty a decade or so ago. I thought, well, this is no problem. I've done some of this before. And then Bud came in and he started tearing apart that stove. And I didn't know that stove had so many pieces. He just started bringing over piece after piece after piece, and 1 load, 2 loads, and it just kept seeming coming. And I just have fond memories of Bud tearing apart that stove and putting it back together.
Another great memory of the dishwasher is Lamar in the corner with water from head to toe, had his rubber gloves on, had his boots on, had his apron on, and there's water all over the place. But he loved his job of washing dishes.
Anybody
So-
else? It can be fond memories. It can, special people or things that you learned or people that you met.
I remember my first Lutefisk dinner was the fall of '93, and I had quickly found out in the process that Lorraine Ingvelson was my boss, and was very good and graceful. But a phone call I had the morning of Lutefisk dinner was from the cities, and the guy asked, said, "We're coming down for the dinner." He said, "But how do we get to your church?" And I told him, well, you come down Highway 218 and you turn to the west on the main street there, and roll down your windows and follow the smell, and you'll find it. And later the fellow was here and he said, "I found it." Oh my goodness. But everybody told me, well, it doesn't smell as bad as it used to.
Oh.
So I had to take their word for it. Anyhow, great memories. Just
Pastor Dick, that reminds me of, I went back from church.
you're breaking up, Heidi.
Oh, okay, hang on. Go ahead, keep going.
That's all I had. That's, yeah. So,
Well, we had to start working at the Lutefisk dinners when we were 13 years old in 7th grade confirmation. And I remember all those great ladies that would have been even older than my mom, and they teased you at every stop you came to. We had Eunice Gross, who was back doing the stirring the butter, and sometimes in the corn room. I mean, I could name a lot of ladies back in that era, and they were just fun ladies, and you loved getting teased by those ladies. And it was, I miss them, you know.
yeah.
Hopefully the younger people will miss me as an old lady someday working at the Lutefisk dinner. But 80 some years of the Lutefisk dinner, that's a long time. And when I think back on that, I've been involved in probably 50 of them. So that makes me quite old now too. But I got to tell you, we always laugh about the room that Julie Lemke and I have been in charge of. The left's the butter, the hard butter, the melted butter, the sugars. They think that's the retirement room. That's the easiest one. But you don't want to be part of that melted butter, because if you stop stirring that, you ruin the whole crock pot of it. So that part's
That's where all the
one.
retired waitresses went, right, Becky?
That's right. That's right. But you don't want to be a part of that melted butter, because that's a hard job. You got to stand there all day and not let that stop stirring.
It was your mom, Becky, that volunteered me to start cooking fish too.
Was it?
Yep. She asked me, she said she was going to retire, and did I want to take over? And I said, not by myself. So Becky Broughton and I took over the fish, and I think it's about time for us to retire too and find some younger people, but I don't think there's any that want to cook fish.
Yeah. You just never know. Well, I was thinking about that the other day. I think Shorty Grandpré used to cook the fish. But then I thought, well, how could he have cooked fish and smoked cigarettes and had that fall in the Lutefisk? You know, he used to do
I
that
thought
at
that
the
was
gun
pepper
club.
in there.
Did it at the Dairy Queen. I don't know why the church would be any different.
Yeah, and he did it at the gun club. Shorty would stand there with his cigarette ashes, and they'd be falling into the gravy, and you know. But I'm pretty sure he cooked fish with my mom back in the day.
Could be.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of good men that do it now too.
Yeah.
Ashes in the Lutefisk wouldn't be good.
No,
Oh, you
it
wouldn't take-
was.
Well,
Well, you
Just
might not.
boil right in.
Yeah, you might not notice.
Just looks like pepper.
Yeah, right.
one time when I was waitressing, I looked at this guy's plate and it was all black, and he had literally taken the cap off of the
Oh.
pepper and just, sprinkled the whole thing. I thought we were going to have to get a whole new plate for him, but no, he was fine.
Whoa.
Yeah. Whoa.
Well, that's one way to cover up the taste.
Good answer, Don.
Well, Danielle is on, and she, of course, is our faithful church secretary, representing many church secretaries before her. I would love, Danielle, if you would share what it's like for the office, the weeks leading up to, and then like on Lutefisk Day, because it is, I mean, we all have an experience, but you have like a bird's eye view of everything and everyone.
I was going to say, I remember one of the first years I started as secretary, my first Lutefisk call was in March. And the guy wanted to make reservations because there's so many people that plan their family vacation around our Lutefisk dinner. I just couldn't even believe it. And so as the year went on, and then we got closer in the month before, and all of the calls and all of the stories, I would go home and call my mom, and I'm like, these people are crazy, Mom. Like they are all doing this for this smelly fish. And I just couldn't even believe it. But it is so much fun to hear all the stories when they call. And, the day of, it's just so much fun to talk to everyone. And I love it when they're cooking the meatballs. That's my favorite time of the day, when they're in cooking the meatballs, because they cool them off. In the library across, or the family room now, across from my office. But unfortunately, Sherry would stop cooking meatballs at some point, and then the Lutefisk smell would make its way down to the office. And then one other really cool thing we do now for the last, I don't know, probably 4 years is the staff usually orders pizza for lunch. And then we eat our lutefisk at night. And so all of these people are leaving for the lunch hour and they see pizza box on my desk and they they tease us really bad. So we have started putting on the top of the box half lutefisk, half meatballs. So we can just hold the box up and show everyone when they make a comment.
Oh, geez.
Lutefisk
It's
pizza.
so much fun to hear all of the stories from everyone calling and how many how many years they've come to the lutefisk. And even this year, people have called just to see, if by chance we're having it. And, they almost all of them understand, but that's what it is for them too. I think just the memory and coming every year and the people they get to talk to. And it's just really neat.
We have 4 friends from Iowa that come up every year, and they go to more than one lutefisk dinner up here. And then one year they had the Wold family. They all got together at our lutefisk dinner. That was fun to see the Conard Wold family show up.
Yeah.
Last year, Jamie Lee got a whole bunch of people from New Prague to come down. And there must have been like 18 or 20 of them, something like that. I mean, it was huge that she recruited to come down for lutefisk. So it was neat to see her doing her persuading to her area.
And they were having such a good time. It was the best PR. I think they brought a bus and she said, now I think I'm going to need 2 buses next year. And I think she meant it. They're from Le Sueur, right? Or somewhere over that way.
Le Sueur. And they're pastors. I was in seminary with both of them. And so it was great to see Ben because I knew him from seminary. Yeah. And they were planning on coming again this year. He was impressed with the whole experience.
There's that group from Iowa too, I think, that have the t-shirts every year that list all the names of the ones they go to. I think there's like 8 of them or something like that on the back of their t-shirts, the different lutefisk dinners that they go to.
It's like a tour.
Yeah.
There's a gentleman from Austin that calls every year, and it's between 20 and 40 tickets he reserves every year. And then he basically sells them at his church and gets the whole church to come.
Oh, fun.
He's scalping lutefisk tickets.
We told him he couldn't scalp. He had to do ticket face value.
And my first memory of lutefisk was actually before I even started here. When I was pastor at Pontoppidan, they have been coming to lutefisk for years and years and years. And so Hilding Johnson called me. He's 92 or 93 now and said, I'm buying tickets, Pastor Mike. Are you open on this date? We're going to lutefisk. And he really wasn't asking if I was open or not. He was inviting me and saying, you're coming with. And so I'd never had lutefisk before. And so we came, and I'd never been in First Lutheran before. So this would have been probably 7 years ago. Pastor Heidi, actually, you served us. And it was really cool to come in and sit in the sanctuary and wait. The whole experience, I just was totally blown away by how it all worked. And I did have like one piece of lutefisk about that big. But the organist for Pontoppidan loves this. She's part of the Sons of Norway. And so she showed me the right way to do it. She had her lefse and her lutefisk and her mashed potatoes, and then she rolled it up and she showed me the proper way to eat all of this. Yeah, they love it. And so that was my first experience. I thought it was pretty cool to come for lunch and see all of you working so hard and serving everybody. It was fun.
It is interesting to see the different ways people eat it. I know we had one lady that she would put the lefse down and then the fish and the mashed potatoes and stuff. She didn't roll it up because she had it big enough that she covered the lefse with, or the lutefisk, no, the lefse with everything. So she couldn't roll it, but that was her way. So.
Yeah.
Well, Jennifer, since I don't know how to cook lutefisk, will you make some and have a to-go box? I can just drive up and pick it up.
You want me to make for cards on Tuesday?
Sure, that would be good.
Put it in
You
the
need to
crock
make it
pot.
into an appetizer.
I'll figure something out. I've got some.
Jennifer, Do not do that. Do not do that. We're just
Speaking of food, does anybody have any recipe tips, or those of you that do? Because I think some of us are gonna miss having some of those food items this fall, and I know our recipe can't be scaled down, but are there any secrets you want to give us if we want to try to prepare some of this meal at home?
Go ahead, Jennifer.
What
Tell
do you
us
want to
to
make
make
fish or lefse, or what do you want to make? I actually tried lefse from instant mashed potatoes and swore I never would, but my family likes it better. So you could try that.
Yeah, we would like lefse, Jennifer. Just keep the fish in the freezer.
Okay, I was thinking about making some, but it'll make a mess.
Making meatballs is not hard. And so if anybody would like to try a scaled down recipe, they could let me know and I could figure it out for them. They're easy to make.
And the meatball recipe is beef and pork, correct?
Correct.
But it's that gravy though, that's the specialty, I think.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so too.
And it isn't just gravy, it's gravy.
There's a lot of little secrets.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's why, somebody said at one time we should make write out the recipes for, well, I mean, we all have recipes, yes.
Yep.
But we're only going to hand them down to the next person who's in charge. This is a church secret.
It's proprietary.
Secret recipe.
It's secret recipe.
It's like KFC, huh?
Yeah.
Secret
Kind
herbs
of.
and dress. Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows that secret ingredient we put in the boiling water at church.
It's ashes, right?
Yeah, cigarette ashes.
No, it's the
Yes,
acid.
butter. Butter.
Yeah.
My kids were disappointed that there's no lefse. That my daughter Maddie would eat it all day long, so she was willing to buy some if anybody had some for sale because she was ready to. She worked at the Blast this summer and she saved her money for lefse.
Oh, no.
Hey, Jeannie Peterson, are you on? Oh, we lost her.
She was on. I don't see her face any longer, but she was on. And we've got one more person coming. Renee is logging on. Any other memories or thoughts? There's Jean.
Oh, she's still. No, that's Jen.
I'm back.
She's unmuted.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Jeannie, one of the things that we thought was so funny is how you could have a group of 10 people in the sanctuary. And from the sanctuary to the dining room, you could at least count on losing 1 or 3 people.
It was those groups of 11 that were the real champ. And they wanted to be together. And where they would go, and of course, some of them are kind of slow, but, we tried to accommodate everybody.
So funny.
I worry about that first group, that first seating at the lunch, and they're all on walkers.
Oh,
And
yes.
if they miss this year, will they be back?
Yeah.
We hope so.
I believe
We
it's
should
St.
pray
Mark's
for those
Lutheran
people
Home. They would
because if
bring a
they
bus.
get COVID, they're goners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But H, remember that one table you got and you had to serve them?
Oh, gal, there's been a lot of interesting tables.
I remember the year you handed me money, H. You were taking tips.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you're a good server, what the heck? You should get a tip. Am I the only one getting tips? Daryl Hansen used to get tips.
He probably asked for them.
That's actually my favorite memory was the first year Ruth was in charge, Ruth and Marilyn working together. And Daryl, do you remember this? Daryl went up to you and said, and it's a little stressful and people are asking, lots of requests for you. And so he came up and, it's hard to know sometimes when he's putting you on because he can be serious too. And he said, okay, here's what I need, Ruth. I need a Ziploc bag. And you said, what do you need a Ziploc bag for? And he's like, people are going to take their lutefisk to go. I told him that we'd get him a bag. And you went like this, you went. And where are they? You were ready to tell them.
This is number one on my list of things to remember that I remember. Daryl did that to me and I freaked out. And so now anytime he comes close to me, I'm like, okay, I'm ready for you. Whatever you're going to bring on, I'm ready.
Daryl was the one that trained me in as a waiter. He was my trustworthy leader on how to wait. So that's a no, huh? We can't.
Well, that's a scary
Ziploc
thought,
bags
Pep, right?
Okay.
Believe you me, Mike, Marilyn and me watched you very carefully that day.
Well, we had fun.
Oh, yes.
Well, I feel a little like it's Tuesday because I'm smiling so much. I can feel my face muscles. And I honestly think that's my favorite memory about the dinner is, it's a lot of work and people, there's a lot of challenge too, right? And there's some time stress and all of that. But there's so much more love than there is any of that, and so much reunion and homecoming and let me introduce you to so-and-so and do you know so-and-so, and I will miss that so much this year. Because sometimes that was the special part we as pastors would play, is simply meeting people and hearing where they're from and hearing about predecessors. Sometimes it was they're long gone, but their family members would come. And you'll even see in the slideshow, we've got a couple pictures of Tess Johnson in the slideshow. She just happened to be shopping in the craft room, and just so many special, dear people that join us. And it makes me smile when I think about them.
Marilyn, I haven't heard from you yet.
I'm just enjoying everybody's. I can say that the time the marshmallows came and they had gotten by the heat and we couldn't pull them apart, and so we had to call Hy-Vee, and Hy-Vee had to go to Walmart and Cashwise and all over Owatonna to get us the marshmallows.
Heidi, I want to thank you for posting that, singing that song at the Lutefisk dinner. Everybody complained when I brought that up and asked the servers to come in and sing, but we laughed so hard about that, and I thought, see, that wasn't so, I kept telling them that wasn't so hard to do, was it? But people that were in the congregation waiting to be served thought that was really funny too. It was a good song.
I missed that.
Well, we just did that 2 years ago. Were you not there?
You were in the kitchen, Sherry.
I suppose.
You were in front of Inesco.
Yeah, I found a Lutefisk song, Sherry, and I had made copies of this Lutefisk song, and I asked them if it'd be all right if all the servers came in and sang in the church to the people waiting before we served them. And they all complained, but it was so funny. So you'll have to get
I'm glad
on
I
and
was
see
in
it.
front of the Nesco. I'm not a good singer.
You don't have to be.
It was a good song.
It was fun.
I do remember too the year that Pastor Jeff was here and he walked out wearing these bibs.
Oh,
and
that's what it was.
making fun of it. And I thought, he left my office and I thought, oh my goodness, he's going to be attacked out there.
Okay, Danielle.
He came in so earnest. He's like, what do you think? What was his name? Something, the Swede? I don't remember. Yeah. And I just looked at him like this and I'm like, I can't help you here, man. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea.
I'm like, you don't mess with your Lutefisk, man. You just don't even know.
Well, Danielle, was it Sweden that he was with the country from?
Yes.
Yeah.
He wanted to represent Sweden.
Okay. And when he walked in and I saw him, I thought, okay, you do your little thing, go home, change, and come back. He didn't change.
Yes, it was his persona for the day.
Oh.
Well, you guys have made me hungry. I think I'll fire up the Lefse grill.
Oh, do that. And invite your friends.
Okay,
What time?
we'll see. Maybe Tuesday at cards.
Any other memories that folks want to share? I know we've got a few who haven't visited yet. Marilyn, do you have anything you want to offer? I know that year, I remember that year, and you had to send back all of the marshmallows and explain to Hy-Vee exactly why they were inferior, because we needed them to be separate and they were all stuck together as a big wad, which isn't a big deal when you're making Rice Krispies, but it's a huge deal when you're trying to make that cranberry salad and it needs to soak up. And I remember that, and that was stressful. I do believe, didn't the Vandals or somebody save the day a little bit? So we had enough for.
Hy-Vee found enough for us, yeah. And maybe we got some from Vandals too, I don't remember, but how about the time that we started to run out of pastries in the evening? And we couldn't remember, you know, where we had put them. Pastor Schroeder and I locked them up in the sacristy. And so at the end of the supper, we had a lot of krumkaka and rosetta.
That was your private stash, huh?
Yeah.
That is funny.
Yeah. Well, at the time it was not.
Oh. All right. Any other memories that you want to speak now, or I guess, or forever hold your peace? We're going to move on to the next part of our forum today. But really, if you have anything else you want to say, whether it's to each other, it doesn't even necessarily have to be, you know, a memory, but just to each other, please do.
I think the supper was always a time when it got a lot of the members of the congregation together for fellowship and fun, and it always made you feel good to see everybody working together.
And the thought that I have is, and I've said this so many times, there was not one job that was more important than the other one.
Right.
I agree.
You know, like Donna was talking about scraping plates. We couldn't have had the dinner without people scraping the plates. We couldn't have Jeannie organizing 10 people, even though we lose them. And you have to have everybody working on the same page, doing the same thing. And we're like at least 100 workers doing this. And then I was talking to Marilyn how sometimes we would have people come in, you know, well, she always brought the pastor from Red Oak. They didn't have a choice if they wanted to work or not. Marilyn just said, you're working. As well as any new pastor we ever got, you know, the day they got initiated to church or welcome to church, the first thing we heard or we told them is, you're going to be working for Lutefisk, you know. Pastor Mike, you should remember that.
That was part of my interview process, actually.
Yes, it was. I remember when we were voting and one of the people stood up and said, what does he think about Lutefisk?
Oh. I agree with you that to have this many people working together, that's the most amazing part of it. Is everybody seems to be having fun, and it seems like there's never a problem. I'm sure there is, but no one notices it. You know, people just work so well together. That's been my experience in the 2 years that I've witnessed them, you know, been here working, is just the spirit of joy that there is and how many people work so hard all day. It's really an impressive thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that goes for all the church dinners. You know, everybody likes to work together in their churches for these dinners because they are all fun. And like I said in my Finally Friday letter, that I can't wait till next year. Hopefully St. Columbanus can have their spring fair and Red Oak Grove can have their fun dinner, and Little Missile, and we can be back to our Lutefisk dinner. So hopefully that'll happen.
Bigger and better.
Yep.
Oh, geez. I just hope we don't forget what we normally do. I mean,
right.
I know you have a binder. We'll be okay. One of my
up
favorite
in-
things this year or this last year was a church in Rochester that naively thought they would put on just a little Norwegian dinner. And they came, do you remember this? And they came and sat
Yes.
down with Marilyn and Ruth and myself just to learn, because they thought, no big deal. They'll just cook up some lutefisk and, or have some meatballs, and it would kind of just run itself. And they left a little, I think, realizing what they were undertaking as far as kitchen, and honestly, to have a plate of those different foods all ready and hot at the same time. It is, for those who have not achieved it, I mean, there is massive coordination that needs to happen. And then the other thing I just want to say is, sometimes because we're the public face of the dinner, I hope all day long there are compliments, not just for the food, but for the ministry, the people, the building, the life and the spirit here. People truly are blessed by First Lutheran on that day. And I would say other days, but that's the day we hear the most. So even if you're stuck in the closet scraping plates, you might not hear that. I want you to know that it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
All right. Should we move to our next piece? I'd like to call on Ruth and Sherry to share with us how the First Lutheran Church women distribute the proceeds to all of the ministries that they do. And we don't need the full listing, but we'd love to hear some of the organizations that benefit from our dinner and the impact of those gifts. Just, however you want to share that.
Okay. Well, as most everybody knows, we divide it up into, it's like local, regional, and worldwide. Our local group kind of is divided into two little sections. There's the people in the local group, but then there's First Lutheran too. And the First Lutheran gets money to the scholarship fund, the Sunshine Bag Fund, the Women's Convention Fund, the Youth Campership, and the Youth Convention Fund. And then the local one, which is the Blooming Prairie Ambulance, the Blooming Prairie Youth Group, the Blooming Prairie Cancer Group, the Ministerial Group, the Police Department and Youth, and Backpack Program, and then Quilts of Valor, which is what Chris Butler does. So she has people that they make quilts for the veterans, and then twice a year they hand out to guys or women who were veterans, and they, so the Blooming Prairie type of group, last year we gave 3,600, and then to the church funds we gave 700. So, and of course, then there's always the regional, the hospice and Dorothy Day, Good Earth Village, Steele County Food Shelf. There's very many. And then the worldwide was Doctors Without Borders, Feed My Starving Children, Lutheran World Relief, and then the Synod. So, I mean, that's where it has been divided. But this is my personal thought. I am just really worried and concerned about our local people who need funds. And so I'm just gonna, I wrote out some on my envelope. I don't want to eat lutefisk. So I put some money in there, and I wrote down there I wanted to go to the local groups. And I don't know, Pastor Heidi, we never really talked about that, but that's how I thought. And so, if you say, okay, I want my, like you were talking about, $18 for a ticket. I want my $18 just to go to the cancer fund. I think you can do that, right?
You can, although, we can also put it in a big pot, and you all can decide exactly how you want to distribute, as an FLCW. This will be yours to disperse. So,
okay.
I think if that's what you'd like to do, then as a group, just simply talk about it after Thanksgiving when you would normally do your disbursement. And
Okay.
I think folks will be glad to know it's going wherever you feel it's needed. I think people,
Okay.
they trust you, they support the work of FLCW. And so, I mean, if people designate, we'll try to honor that preference, but know that the undesignated will also, I think, be up to FLCW to decide.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, I actually mailed my check and I bought 2 tickets just so I wouldn't have to smell that fish this year.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, are we ready for a slideshow? You want to watch something?
Yeah.
Okay. Those of you who are on the phone lines, you are not. It's gonna be silent. So I just warn you. We're gonna end with a prayer. And for the screen sharing time, I will also say, again, these are just a few photos. It was hard to know where to cut because honestly, there's some precious faces in here that are no longer with us. So you might want to have some Kleenex or get your sleeve handy. I'm just warning you right now. And like I said, if you're on the phone, this won't be very exciting, but you can watch the slideshow later on. It's going to be on the website. I'll be posting it, and it's also on our YouTube page. So hang on. All right. Can everyone see my screen? Can you see my screen? Give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Okay. All right. Yep. I will make this bigger once I begin to play it, and hopefully you can make it larger as well. And you can, it's silent, so you can talk while we're doing this here.
Yeah. Oh, frying pan. Yeah, I don't remember that.
This Randy. Is the day when the pastors work elsewhere. Monday.
Oh.
It is funny because the pastors do try to leave that day, and Danielle has to be stuck there still answering the phones.
Look how dirty those potatoes come. It's amazing to me. They're so freshly dug.
Those potatoes are just, I can't believe they come. They
look so good.
Is that
I don't think that was
there's
treats.
And we do have the most beautiful dining room of any dinner I've ever attended, I must say.
You're the one
We always have so many compliments.
Oh.
Hmm.
That's busy. Yeah, you always made something up.
The snack. Yeah.
The shit.
That's my sister-in-law. She helped us one year when she lived with us.
Okay.
Oh, scoop and fish.
That's the evening.
Where's the used a bit pot?
I didn't take too many photos of the used a bit, I don't think, or no one took any.
In the meatball used a bit.
Nobody knew about the used.
We're laughing.
No, in meatball used a bit. Make sure there's no corn.
Yep.
Mm.
Oh, there's Jareen.
Betty.
That's butter.
There's butter, ladies.
Stirring the butter.
Oh, look at them all.
There's Jim.
Betty.
Makes me hungry.
Yes.
It's amazing how many people put their cranberry salad in their coffee cups.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
They
They
need
don't
more
want it
room,
to get
Sherry.
with the gravy.
Never thought of that.
No.
Oh, yeah.
I could see
That's
that.
fun to clean.
Paul agrees. Yeah, I didn't ever thought of that.
No, but see that way it doesn't melt.
Right,
and
it doesn't,
run.
yeah. I'd have never thought of that.
No. Oh, there's me.
Yeah.
Oh.
Some of these were action shots, so they're hard to catch and focus. There's
I just
Frank.
ran across a cute one where Doreen was on the floor cleaning up meatball
Mess.
stuff.
Yeah.
Meatball mess. Yeah, that was cute.
Mhm.
Post them on Tuesday so people can enjoy.
Okay. There, yeah.
Yeah.
I tried to get that finger, but it's wagging.
Yeah. Action. Action.
Oh, funny.
Yeah, what's in those potatoes to make them so good?
Butter.
Butter.
And I'm convinced a fresh potato is nothing like an old potato.
Right. Oh, Susie. Oh,
There
there
you
you are,
are.
Paul.
There's Paul.
There's Bud cleaning
There's
that
Bud.
stove.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Susie's at it.
Lisa and Sam.
Mhm.
Here's Damon. He's walking so fast. Can't catch
Yeah.
him.
There's one of my Iowa boys.
Betsy's working hard.
Is that Chris Butler?
Yep,
Yeah.
Chris.
Oh. There she is again.
It's another thing we didn't talk about, but everybody's beautiful jewelry that they would wear. They're,
Right.
I so
Oh.
enjoy seeing that. It's those
Mhm.
heirlooms.
Mm-hmm. There's Jim.
He was smiling. I had to put it in. That was, you know what I'm saying.
Paul.
We all look so young in some of those pictures.
Yes, there was Pat Isle.
Like I said, I started looking through and they weren't in focus, but we've got people that aren't here with us. I had to keep them in.
Who was that?
So I know it's a little long, but it's so precious, I think.
He's a big help for thing with this.
Oh, yes, and then the Rosettes.
Rosette.
Oh, boy. I honestly did not
Oh
miss
boy.
that.
Oh boy.
job.
He says, oh boy.
There.
Oh, boy.
That was before masks were required.
Yeah. You were ahead of your time, Pastor Dick, ahead of your time.
I noticed some social distancing in the church pews too.
That was good.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So if you want to give, we've made it easy. You can certainly write a check. You can certainly drop off at our drop box if you want to give to Lutefisk Benevolence. Tell your friends the same. But we also made it really easy and put a button right on the Facebook or right on the website. So it's blue and red, so you can't miss it. Norwegian colors. It says Lutefisk Benevolence. You click that. It goes right to Vanco, our online giving. But you'll notice, in addition to the general offering, so you can certainly give your regular offering, but there is an additional line that's called Lutefisk Benevolence. So it's very easy. You can give securely as well if you'd prefer. I know we will miss each other on Tuesday a whole lot, but FLCW, as you can see today, feels pretty strongly that Our best option this year is to remember what was and then preserve the real mission of the dinner, which is paying it forward, because we believe that's what Jesus would have us do. So to finish our time, I'd like to offer a prayer for our First Lutheran Church women who have done so much for so many over the years. It's extraordinary. I will not be praying in Norwegian.
Okay.
But you
That's
sure
good.
can if you want. Let us pray. Gentle Savior, gracious Lord, give us eyes to see the deepest needs of people. Give us hearts full of love for our neighbors as well as for the strangers we meet. May we remember to listen and smile and offer a helping hand each time the opportunity presents itself. Give us hearts of courage that we will be brave enough to risk loving a stranger. Inspire us to go out of our way to include those in the margins. Help us to be welcoming and inclusive to all who come to our door. Let us follow the example of FLCW to be God's hospitality in the world. In the name of your precious Son, Jesus, we pray. Amen.
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 Thank you, everyone, for being with us this morning. This slideshow, like I said, will be posted. I think we're going to send it in a Slack note. I can't remember. I scheduled some stuff, but it will also go out on Tuesday as well on our Facebook page. So feel free to share memories and stories this week to come. Like Sherry mentioned, she had some photos. If they pop up, go ahead and share them. Tag the church. I think this is the year where we feel good about all that we have done, even though we wish we were doing more. So thank you again to each of you.
See you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Enjoy
Thank
your
you.
day. God
Bye.
bless.